I understand that you want to participate in a CVSA.
Yes, sir.
Okay. You know what? I am going to grant your wish. I am the CVSA operator. Matter of fact, I am the senior CVSA operator for the city of Sanford. I've been doing this for quite a long time. And you know anything about the CVSA?
Yes, sir.
You ever taken one? Apparently not.
No. I'm sorry. I went to school for criminal justice, and I just know computerized stress analysis.
Voice stress analysis. Oh, this is right there. See, we even put it right there for you so you can read it while I'm talking to you. Basically, you're right. It's a computer-aided truth verification system. I'm sure you know polygraphs, all that kind of good stuff. This is basically the latest and greatest in truth verification. Polygraphs are great. I think they are wonderful, but some of them have, everything has to take someplace. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what we're not looking for is I'm not really looking for you lying. Okay, what I'm looking for is your truthfulness and your level of stress.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And that would be evident in the instrument when we roll the charts. Okay. It's not invasive. Okay. It's just a microphone that you put right here, and you talk. You don't have the bands around you and everything hooked up there, and blood pressure cuff and all this other crap all over you. That's all it is. Okay. It's nothing. It's very, very uninvasive.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Right now, where would you say you're at as far as the stress level, from 1 to 10? 10 being the worst.
I don't know.
You don't know?
6, maybe 7.
Okay. Pretty high? Or
Yeah.
mediocre, because you're kind of getting the...
It's like it's in the back of my mind.
Right, okay. You nervous about sitting here talking to me at the station?
Not necessarily, no.
No. You came here on your own free will, no
Yes,
doubt,
sir.
right? Okay.
So as I walked through, I looked to my right where he had gone through. The operator said, "Are you following him?" And I said, "Yes." They said, "We don't need you to do that." And I said, "Okay." And I walked through to the other end of the street to give him the address. And as I was doing that, I said, "He's not here anymore, he's gone." And they said, "You don't see him?" And I said, "No, he's gone." And they said, "Do you still want us?" And by this time I'd gone to Retrieve View Circle. And they said, "Do you still want us to send a police officer out?" And I said, "Yes." And they said, "Well, where do you want the officer to meet you at?" And I said, "Just tell them to go to the clubhouse, make a left." I didn't give them a description of my car. And I said, "I'll meet them back at my car." So I walked through again, and as I was about halfway through, he appeared out of nowhere.
Were you still on the phone?
No, I hung up. They said, "We have an officer en route." And I said, "Okay, thanks." After he asked me if I wanted an officer there, they said, "We have an officer en route." I told him to meet me in my car, and I hung up. Mm-hmm. And I put my phone away. And when I got about halfway to my car from the street, again, behind the houses in a dark area, I heard him say, "You got a problem?" And I turned around and I saw him, and I went to go for my phone and call 911 instead of non-emergency this time. Mm-hmm. But I guess I didn't have my phone in the pocket that I thought I had it in. I had it in my jacket pocket, and I reached for my pocket, and I was looking for my phone, and he just punched me in the nose. And I fell backwards to the side. Somehow I ended up on my back. He ended up on top of me, and he just kept punching my face and my head, and I was screaming for help. And he told me, "Shut the fuck up." And I kept yelling for help. And I got a little bit of leverage, and I started to sit up, and then he took my head and slammed it into the concrete several times. And each time I felt like my head was going to explode more than the last. I felt like I was going to lose consciousness, and I started screaming for help. And he covered my nose with one hand and my mouth with the other one, and he told me, "Shut the fuck up." And I couldn't breathe, I was suffocating. And all I could think about was I didn't want him to keep slamming my head on the concrete. So I kind of shifted and squirmed my way out, not out from under him, but like to where, because the concrete was only, it was a sidewalk, and it felt like he only had my head on maybe a quarter of the concrete, and I could shift my way out and get onto the grass, where if he was slamming my head, it would just hit the grass and not the concrete. But when I shifted, my jacket came up and my shirt came up and exposed my firearm. And that's when he said, he like sat up and looked and said, "You're gonna die tonight, motherfucker." And I felt him take one hand off my mouth and slide it down my chest. And I just pinched his arm and I grabbed my gun and I aimed it at him and fired one shot. He kind of sat back and said, "You got me," or you got me, you got it, something like that. And I thought he was saying that he heard the shot and that he was giving up. So I pushed him off me, and I don't remember if I pushed him off me or I pushed him back. Either way, I ended up on top of him, straddling him. He was up face down. And when he was hitting me in the face and the head, I felt like he was hitting me with something in his hands. So I thought he had a weapon, and I grabbed his hands and pushed them away from his body. And I said, "Stop." I said, "Stop, just don't move."
Mm-hmm.
And he was saying something like, ah, and cursing. I said, "Stop, don't move." And then somebody came, and they had a flashlight, and I thought it was a cop, and I said, I still had my gun in my hand as I was holding his hand out. And I said, "Are you a cop?" And he said, "No." And he said, "I'll call them." And I said, "I don't need you to call them. I already called them. They're on their way. I need you to help me restrain this guy." And he said, like, "I'm calling the police. I'm already on the phone with them." And I got up off of him because he stopped struggling. And I thought he just, like, stopped struggling. And then I holstered my weapon. I saw another flashlight, and I said, "Are you the police?" Because I had blood all over my face and my eyes,
Mm-hmm.
and the flashlight, it was dark where I was, so the flashlight was really bright. And I said, "Are you the police?" And he said, "Who shot him?" And I said, "I did." And I put my hands above my head like that, and I don't remember if he told me to turn my back to him and walk back towards him, but I turned my back to him, and I said, "I did." And I raised my jacket, and I said, "My gun's right there." I think I told him a few times, "My gun's right there. It's right there." And he said, "I know where it is. Just keep your hands on your head. Don't move." I said, "Can you just take my gun?" And he said, "I'm taking care of it. Just don't move." So I stopped. He handcuffed me. He took my hands down and handcuffed me. Oh, that's when he brought my hands down. I said, "My gun's right there on my right side."
Mm-hmm.
Because I didn't want him to think that, I was going to grab for it or something. So he put my hands behind my back, handcuffed me, and then he took my gun. And I'm sorry, there was a guy that I couldn't really see because, like I said, there was blood in my eyes, and I saw somebody looking out through the sliding glass door, and I said, "Help me, help me." And I think he said, "I'm calling 911. But the guy was beating me in the head and the face, but he might have been on the phone.
So there's a possible bystander there?
Yes.
Okay.
He might have been on the phone with 911. I don't know. But I was not communicating with the police at that time.
Okay, after he disappeared in through the cut-through. Okay, he turned to the right, you said, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. At that time, you hung up, right around that time, you hung up with dispatch.
Shortly after, yes, sir.
Yeah. And then you were walking there, and you're walking back through, but you walked through where he disappeared, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The next thing you know, he comes out of nowhere.
Yes, sir.
He says, "You got a problem?"
Yes, sir.
Or something along that line. Okay. At that point, you went for your phone?
Yes, sir.
And they punched you in the face?
I answered him. I said, "No, I don't have a problem."
Okay.
And that's when I went for my phone, and he punched me in the face.
And then you guys exchanged some punches?
I didn't hit him at all. I mean, I was trying to defend myself, but every time he punched me in the nose, it felt like my head was going to explode.
Okay. Was it at that time you pulled out your gun?
No.
No. At any time prior to, did you pull out your gun?
No.
Okay. So this possible bystander that you told to call 911 or help, he should be able to tell us that your gun was still in your holster?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Or didn't see the gun?
Correct.
Okay. Because if it's in your holster, you probably wouldn't see it.
No, sir. I mean, as we were wrestling, like I said, my jacket came up.
I understand that.
He saw it.
But if he was to look out and look at you, you wouldn't have been in your hand or anything like that. Okay.
Where I was parked, my headlights were illuminating,
Mm-hmm.
and I saw him turn down and by the time I was on the phone with the non-emergency, by the time I got to where he was at, I felt he had already made his way. I've called non-emergency probably a dozen times, and these guys are known just to run. As soon as they get suspicious, they run, and they know the neighborhood back and forth, and they just disappear in between houses within seconds. So I kind of walked, and I looked around the corner, and he was gone. So that's why I told him, non-emergency, he's gone.
Okay. When you're laying on the ground, you're laying on your back, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. That's when your jacket came up and he saw your gun, right?
Yes, sir.
Your gun on your left side, right side?
My right side.
Okay, so your gun's on your right side. Where were your hands at?
Trying to keep his hands away.
And then what did you feel next?
His hand slid down my chest. He had one hand on my mouth and one hand on my nose, and he took one off, and that's when he said, "You're gonna die, motherfucker." And I felt his hand going down the side of my chest, and to be honest,
you felt something like this?
Yeah, brushing. And to be honest with you, the whole time I forgot that I had the gun. When he said that I was gonna die, and then I felt him brushing, it automatically clicked that he was going for my gun.
So your hands are up here defending yourself. His hand's going down.
Yes, sir.
Were both your hands on the weapon?
No, sir.
Okay. Where was his hand when you went to retrieve the weapon?
One hand was going towards the gun. He took it off my mouth.
Right.
And I was trying to get his hand, he was suffocating me, so I was trying to get his hands off of my face. So when I felt his hand, he let go of my mouth, so I wasn't trying to do anything again with my right hand. So I grabbed my gun, and I don't know if he did it at the same time or what the case was, but I got to it first.
Okay. And then how did you come to fire upon him from that position? Because you're laying down like this, okay, on your back, right?
Yes, sir.
And then you just bring it out of the holster and straight up like this?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You didn't, like, try to push it into him or anything? You just fired it from almost like from the hip?
I think I made sure that it wasn't, because my hand was in the way, I made sure it was past my hand, because his other hand was still on my face.
Okay.
So I made sure it was
he that far away, or was he right up on top of you?
No. He was like putting all his weight on my nose and my mouth, trying to suffocate me. So he was like creating a crevice with his body, and then he, like, when he slid to go for my gun.
Did he go for your gun with his left hand or your right hand?
I don't recall. Okay. Which hand he used.
But one of the hands went?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The one that was on your mouth?
That's when it clicked that I had my gun, and when he said...
But the hand that was on your mouth, he went to your
Yes,
gun?
sir.
Okay. Wait, then you got it, and you went out like this?
I think I went far enough to where I could make sure that it was past my other hand, and in his general area.
From what you're describing to me, he's not that far away from you.
No, he's on me.
He's on top of you.
Yes, sir.
Right, so there's not a whole lot of distance in between you and him.
Right.
So you can't really extend your arm.
Correct.
Because then you got a gun sticking out. What kind of gun is it?
Keltec 9mm.
Keltec 9?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so it's probably only about that long, right?
Shorter.
It's a little tiny gun.
Yes, sir.
But still, I mean, you don't have hardly any play before that gun's directly into his chest.
Correct. I was on him. I knew I was.
And as soon as the round went off, he stopped attacking you?
He sat back, and he said, "You got me," or "You got it," whatever.
Okay. going to, when I ask you all the questions, I want you to respond in a yes or no answer. Not yes sir, not no sir, don't add anything else to it, just yes. Just a simple yes. Okay, just like you've been talking to me this whole time. Okay? Don't try to modulate your voice, it's not going to work. Okay? If you try to modulate it or make it different, I'll be able to see it, and then we'll just have to probably redo it. Okay? You're not going to skew the results. Okay? It's going to, remember I told you you can't do it, so don't even try. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. Is your name George?
Yes.
Is your name George?
Yes.
Is the color of the walls green?
No.
Is today Monday?
Yes.
Did you confront the guy you shot?
No.
Is this the month of February?
Yes.
Were you in fear for your life
Yes.
when you shot the... Hold on, let me finish the question. Were you in fear for your life when you shot the guy?
Yes.
Are we in the city of Sanford?
Yes.
Have you ever driven up the posted speed limit?
No.
Am I wearing a watch?
No.
Am I wearing a watch?
No.
Okay. That was 9 questions. Wasn't too bad, was it?
No.
Did it shock you every time you said something wrong?
No.
Okay. Was there anything that got you?
No, sir.
Okay. You can kind of turn it.
Well,
We're not done yet. You gotta take a drink of water.
oh, I wasn't sure about the watch question. I didn't know if that was one I was supposed to.
Remember, I don't have a watch. Okay. That was a practice chart. All right. So we're gonna run it one more time. Did you confront the guy you shot?
No.
Were you in fear for your life when you shot the guy?
Yes.
Are we in the city of Sanford?
Yes.
Have you ever driven over the posted speed limit?
No.
Am I wearing a watch?
No.
Okay. We're all done. You take that off and you return to your seat over here.
We are heading back to his house then.
What?
They're already out, Chris, and I sent those two out to start canvassing the neighborhood again, see if we got anybody to see anything or do anything.
George, pleasure to meet you, sir.
Thank you, as well.
Hopefully I never see you again.
Also,
That's always a good thing from a police officer.
yes, sir.